Good day, viewers. I am Mrs. Lucita Sis. Once again, we would like to bring you another remedial lesson in mathematics. Our topic for today is performing fundamental operations on fractions. Our objective, at the end of the lesson, the students should be able to perform 4 fundamental operations on fractions. So, I will give you examples of fractions. 2/5, 1/5, and 3/5. What do you observe with this kind of fractions? Kate?
They are similar fractions.
And what are similar fractions?
Similar fractions are fractions whose denominators are similar or the same.
Good. So let's have another examples. 1/3, 1/2, and 3/4. What can you say about these fractions, Rika?
They are the similar fractions.
And what are the similar fractions?
The similar fractions are fractions whose denominators are not the same.
So let's have the rules in adding similar fractions. First, add the numerators. Second, keep the common denominator. And third, reduce or simplify the answer if required or needed. Let me show you some examples. 1/3 plus 1/3 is equal to 2/3. Adding 1 plus 1 becomes 2, and then we just copy or keep the common denominator, which is 3. The answer is 2/3. On the second example, we have 1/2 plus 1/12 plus 5/12. Adding 1 and 5 becomes 6, and then we just copy or keep the common denominator, which is 12. So the answer is 6/12, and simplifying it becomes 1/2. So let us try solving some problems on adding similar fractions. Who can solve for the first problem? Renz.
To add 2/5 and 1/5 equals 3/5. We simply add the numerator and copy the denominator.
Very good. So, who can solve for the next problem? Tricia.
To add 4/12 plus 3/12 plus 2/12. First, we need to add the numerators. 4 plus 3 plus 2 is 9. And copy the denominator, 12. And 9/12 can be simplified to 3/4.
Okay. Now let's proceed to the next topic, which is adding the similar fractions. The rules are, first, find the LCD or the least common denominator. Second, add the numerators. Third, keep the common denominator. And fourth, reduce or simplify the answer if required or needed. Let me show you examples. We have 1/2 plus 1/3. The least common denominator of 2 and 3 is 6. So, 6 divided by 2 is 3 times 1 is 3. And then just copy the common denominator, which is 6. This now becomes 3 6. 6 divided by 3 is 2 times 1 is 2. So, this now becomes 2 6. We can now add the two fractions because they are now of the same denominator. So, 3 plus 2 is 5. And just copy the denominator 6. So, we have 5 6. Okay, the next problem is 2/3 plus 1/5. So, the least common denominator of 3 and 5 is 15. 15 divided by 3 is 5 times 2 is 10. This now becomes 10 15. We just copy the common denominator 15. 15 divided by 5 is 3 times 1 is 3. And then copy the common denominator, which is 15. So, we can now proceed in adding the numerators. 10 plus 3 is 13. And then copy the common denominator 15. The answer is 13 over 15. To show us how to find the least common denominator, Joy and Christian will be computing for us on how to find the least common denominators.
To find the LCD of 8, 10, and 3, we have to find the prime factors of 8, 10, and 3. The prime factors of 8 are 2 times 2 times 2. While the prime factors of 10 are 2 times 5. And the prime factor of 3 is 3. We align this factor because this factor is common in both number 8 and 10. Now, we have to bring down all the prime factors. 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times 3. Now, we can multiply and solve for the LCD. 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times 3 is equal to 120. And the LCD of 8, 10, and 3 is 120.
Very good.
To get the LCD of 6, 3, and 5, we need to get the prime factors of 6, that is 2 times 3. And the prime factors of 3 is 3. And the prime factor of 5 is 5. We need to bring down the common prime factors of the 3. That is 2 times 3 times 5. Then we get 30. 30 is the LCD of 6, 3, and 5.
Okay, very good. So, we can now proceed with this problem. For the first problem,
2 and 8 tenths and 3/4. First, we need to get the LCD of 10 and 4, which is 40. And the solution will be 40 divided by 10 times 8 plus 40 divided by 4 times 3. And we will perform the operation. 40 divided by 10 is 4 times 8 equals 32. And we will just copy the denominator. Forty divided by 4 is 10 times 3 equals 30. And copy also the denominator. Now, we just add the numerators. 32 plus 30 equals 62. And just copy the denominator. 62
over 40 can be simplified. So the answer will be 31 over 20.
Okay, correct. For the next problem, Reynaldo.
To add 10/24 plus 5/6 plus 2/12. We need to find the LCD of the denominators. The LCD of 24, 6, and 12 is 24. Then, 24 divided by 24 times 10 plus 24 divided by 6 times 5 plus 24 divided by 12 times 2. 24 divided by 24 is 1 times 10 is 10. Plus 24 divided by 6 is 4 times 5 is 20. Plus 24 divided by 12 is 2 times 2 is 4. And we will add the numerators. 10 plus 20 plus 4 is 34. And simplify the answer. Equals 17/12.
Okay, correct. Now let's proceed to another topic, which is subtracting similar fractions. The rules are, first, subtract the numerators of the fractions. Second, keep the common denominator. And third, reduce or simplify the answer if required or needed. Let us show you some examples. 3/5 minus 2/5, we just subtract 2 from 3. So the answer is 1, and then just copy the denominator. So the answer is 1/5. 2/3 minus 1/3, we just subtract 1 from 2, which is equals to 1, and then copy the denominator, which is 3. So the answer is 1/3. Now let us try some problems. Who can solve for the first problem? Eloisa?
To subtract 10/24 minus 2/24 we subtract 10 minus 2, and the answer is 8. Then we copy the common denominator, which is 24. We can simplify 8/24 to 1/3. And the final answer is 1/3. 7/10 minus 1/10. We just subtract 1 from 7, and the answer is 6. And copy the common denominator, which is 10. This answer can be simplified. 6/10 is equal to 3/5. And the final answer now is 3/5.
Correct. So let's proceed to the next topic, subtracting dissimilar fractions. The rules are, first, find the LCD. Second, subtract the numerators of the fractions. Third, keep the common denominator. Fourth, reduce or simplify the answer if required or needed. Let me show you some examples. So we have, on the first problem, 4/5 minus 1/10. The common denominator or the least common denominator of 5 and 10 is 10. So, 10 divided by 5 is 2, times 4 is 8. And we just copy the common denominator, 10. So, this becomes now 8/10. 10 divided by 10 is 1, times 1 is 1. So, this becomes now 1/10. Subtracting 1 from 8, the answer is 7/10. The second problem, which is 3/4 minus 1/3, the LCD or the least common denominator of 4 and 3 is 12. So, 12 divided by 4 is 3. Times 3 is 9. And copy the common denominator, 12. This now becomes 9/12. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Times 1 is 4. So the answer is 4/12. Subtracting 4 from 9, the answer is 5/12. Let us try solving some problems. Okay, who can solve for the first problem? Renz.
To subtract 7/10 and 1/2, first we need to find the LCD of 10 and 2. The LCD of 10 and 2 is 10. 10 divided by 10 is 1 times 7 equals 7. 10 divided by 2 is 5 times 1 is 5. Now we can subtract. 7 minus 5 is 2 and copy the denominator, 10. 2 tenths can be simplified. So the answer is 1/5.
Correct. For the second problem, who can solve for the second problem? Joy.
To subtract 4/9 by 1/3, first we have to find the LCD. The LCD of 9 and 3 is 9. Now we can divide. 9 divided by 9 times 4. And 9 divided by 3 times 1. 9 divided by 9 is 1 times 4 equals 4. And 9 divided by 3 is 3 times 1 equals 3. Now, we can subtract the fractions. 4 minus 3 is equal to 1. Then, we just copy the common denominator, which is 9. And the result is 1/9.
Correct. Now let's proceed to the next topic, which is multiplying fractions. The rules are, first, multiply the numerators and the denominators. Second, simplify or reduce the resulting fraction if possible. Let me show you some examples. 2/3 times 4/5. We just have to multiply the numerator. 2 times 4 equals 8. And the denominators, 3 times 5 equals 15. So the answer is 8 fifteenths. For number 2, we have 47 times 3 fifths. 4 times 3 is 12, and 7 times 5 is 35. So the answer is 12 over 35. Let us try solving some problems. Okay, who can solve for number 1? Rika.
To multiply 8 tenths and 3/4, just simply multiply the numerators and the denominators. 8 times 3 is 24. 10 times 4 is 40. Simplify the answer. Now we get 3/5 as the result.
Okay, number 2. Christian.
To multiply 2/3 times 3/2 times 5/6, we first multiply the numerator. 2 times 3 times 5. Then the denominator. 3 times 2 times 6. Then we get 30, 36. Then reduce it to lowest term. Then we get 5, 6.
Correct. Now let's proceed to our next topic, which is dividing fractions. To divide fraction by another fraction, simply multiply the dividend by the reciprocal of the divisor, or change the division sign to multiplication sign and invert the fraction to the right of the sign. Let me show you examples. 1/2 divided by 1/3. So we just copy 1/2 and then finding the reciprocal of the divisor, 1/3 becomes 3/1. And let's proceed to multiplication. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 1 is 2. So the answer is 3/2. Simplifying it, this becomes now 1 and 1/2. For number 2, we have 1/2 divided by 1/8. We just copy 1/2 and then find the reciprocal of 1/8, which is 8/1. And simply proceed to multiplication. 1 times 8 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. So the answer is 8/2. Simplifying it, the final answer is 4. Let us try solving some problems. For the first problem, Trisha Ann.
To get the quotient of 5/12 and 4/7, just copy 5/12 and get the reciprocal of the divisor. The divisor is 4/7, so the reciprocal of 4/7 is 7/4. Then we will change the operation. Divide will become multiplication. Then we will just multiply the numerator. 5 times 7 is 35. And 12 times 4 is 48. And the result is 35/48.
To divide 2/3 and 1/6
we just copy the dividend, which is 2/3. And then, find the reciprocal of the divisor. The divisor is 1/6, so the reciprocal of the divisor is 6/1. And we should proceed to multiplication. Multiply first the numerators. 6 times 2 is 12. And then, multiply the denominators. 3 times 1 is 3. Then, simplify the answer. Equals 4.
Okay. Let us have some application of what we have learned in our previous lesson. Who can solve for number 1?
To add 1/2 x and 2/3 x, first, we need to find the LCD. The LCD of 1/2 x and 2/3 x is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3 times 1 is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2 times 2 is 4x. 3x plus 4x is 7x, and copy the denominator, which is 6. We now have the result of the equation, which is 7x and 6.
Number 2, Renz.
To add 2x squared and 1/3 x squared first, we need to find the LCD of 3 and 1. The LCD of 3 and 1 is 3. 3 divided by 1 is 3 times 2x squared equals 6x squared. Plus 3 divided by 3 is 1 times 1x squared equals 1x squared. We don't need to write 1 because x squared is understood as 1. Now, we proceed to addition. 6x squared plus x squared equals 7x squared. We just copy the denominator, which is 3. So the answer is 7x squared over 3.
Number 3, Tricia.
To subtract 2/3 x minus 1/2 x squared, we just copy 2/3 x minus 1/2 x squared, because there are two different terms, and on the first term, the exponent is 1, and in the second term, the exponent is 2. That's why they are different.
To subtract 6x squared and 1/2 x squared, first we find the denominator of two denominator, least common denominator. The least common denominator of the two denominators is 2. Then 2 divided by 1 is 2 times 6x squared. Then 2 divided by 2 is 1 times 1x squared is x squared.
We do not need to write 1 because x squared is understood as 1. And let's proceed to subtraction. 12x squared minus x squared is 11x squared. Then, we just copy the LCD. And the final answer is 11x squared over 2.
Okay, let me show you an example. 2/3 x cubed times 3/5 x squared. We can apply the cancellation method. So, we have to cancel the common factors. And what is the common factor, Joy?
The common factor is 3.
So, we have to cancel 3. And then, what is left is 2 and 5. And we just add the exponents of the variables. Now this becomes x to the 5th. So the answer is 2/5 x to the 5th. Okay, to solve for number 1, let us have Samantha.
To multiply 1/2 x squared and 2/3 x. There are two the same factors in this situation. So we can apply the cancellation method. And the common factor is 2. This will become 1. 1 times 1 equals 1. And 1 times 3 equals 3. And in the variable, we add 2 plus 1. This becomes 3. Or the answer is 1/3 to the 1/3 x cubed.
To multiply negative 5x times negative 1/2x, first we need to change 5x to a fraction. Then we multiply negative 5 to negative 1 and we get 5, and we multiply 1 and 2. So we get 2, and then we add the exponent of the variable, that is x squared. Then we get the answer 5/2 x squared.
To divide 2x cubed over 4x squared, we have to write the prime factors of 2x cubed and 4x squared. The prime factors of 2x cubed are 2 times x times x times x. While the prime factors of 4x squared are 2 times 2 times x times x. We have to cancel out all the common factors. And we just copy the remaining factors, which are x over 2. And the result is x over 2.
Next, Rika.
To find the quotient of 8x to the 5th power and 2x to the 4th power, write down their prime factors. 8x to the 5th power is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times x times x times x times x times x. And 2x to the 4th power is equal to 2 times x times x times x times x. Cancel all the common factors. X, x.
Copy the remaining factors. 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 times 2 is equal to 4x. Now, we get 4x as the quotient.
For your assignment, you may copy the following problems. In our lesson, we do not follow the ordinary classroom routine because we want to emphasize our remedial lessons. We would like to thank Pixel Video Productions, Dr. Bienvenido Torres and Mrs. Marinette Torres of Mambulau Cable TV, our principal, Mr. Mario C. Garino, our department head in mathematics, Mrs. Nelly Dasco, our teachers, Mr. Judy Magana and Mr. Joven Gutierrez. I am Mrs. Lucita Cis. Once again, thank you for watching us.